CNC3, I'm Ria Rambly.
I'm Akash Samar.
I am Jassi Marik with sport.
And I'm Jean-Marc Rampersad with your weather.
Let's tell you what's making the news tonight. Prime Minister says traffic fines could be reduced, but under one condition.
Family of Christmas Day crash victim urges better policing over higher traffic fines.
Amid rising complaints over noisy fireworks, police admit enforcement of new law is difficult.
Coming up in sport, Netball TNT names its new senior women's head coach as the Calypso Girls tackle a bumper 2026 international calendar.
There's a full moon tonight, followed by a fair weekend. I'll have the details in tonight's weather report.
There's a possibility that increased traffic fines could be lowered this year, but it will all depend on how people conduct themselves on the nation's roadways.
That's right, Ria. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar tells CNC3 News that in 6 months, if there is a decrease in road deaths, reckless and drunk driving offences, she'll consider reducing traffic fines. The Prime Minister said the ball is now in the public's court and their behaviour will determine the future changes. Significant changes to road traffic fines in Trinidad and Tobago took effect on January 1st. The government has doubled many fixed penalty fines to curb what they said was rampant lawlessness and to improve road safety. It has drawn severe criticism from the public, many of whom said the Prime Minister campaigned on a promise to lower the existing fines. The TTPS has said 418 tickets were issued since the new fines came into effect. Well, long lines reported outside of the licensing division in Port of Spain today left scores of people waiting lengthy periods for services.
But the Ministry of Transport and Civil Aviation says this was due to a surge in people trying to transfer vehicle ownership. Officials say the rush is largely due to motorists who failed to complete their transfers within the legally required time frame. The ministry is reminding the public that vehicle ownership transfers must be done promptly in keeping with the Motor Vehicles and Road Traffic Act. They warn that delays can lead to congestion at licensing offices and possible legal consequences. Meanwhile, former Works Minister Dr. Jack Warner is questioning whether government-owned vehicles, including those used by ministries, emergency services and the PTSC, are being inspected under the same standard as private vehicles.
He says that public confidence in road safety depends on rules applying equally to all. Dr. Warner's comments came in a letter to Transport Minister Eli Zakur, where he also backed the government's 100% increase in traffic fines. He praised the move as a necessary step to curb lawlessness and reduce fatalities, noting that road carnage has become far too familiar. At the same time, Dr. Warner urged that road safety efforts must extend beyond motorists to pedestrians. He highlighted the rise in jaywalking and distracted walking, particularly among people using mobile phones, warning that such behavior puts both drivers and pedestrians at risk. He added that with clear follow-through, transparent communication, and consistent enforcement, the initiative could mark a turning point towards safer roads.
Relatives of Sumraj Bagwandeen, who died in a Charleville Road fatality, say they aren't convinced that higher fines for traffic offences will result in safer roadways. At the Forensic Science Centre today, Bagwandeen's relatives said while they support an increase in fines for drunk and reckless driving, they believe increasing all traffic infractions would not improve road safety. The relatives lamented that 40-year-old Bagwandeen's body was found hours after he was reportedly struck by a car on the Uriah Butler Highway. They call for more proactive policing to not only clamp down on errant drivers, but also when responding to accidents as well.
Meanwhile, the son of a man who was killed in a road traffic accident in South Oropouche on Old Year's Night is now calling for justice. 53-year-old Amarjit Balkisoon was crossing the main road in the vicinity of Ananjim, Bellevue, when he was struck by a 7-seater vehicle driven by a man from Point Fortin. Although a breathalyzer test confirmed the driver was not intoxicated, Balkisoon's son believes the driver was at fault and should be held accountable.
He wasn't under the influence, but to my honest opinion, it had a really room on the highway. My father, if you understand what I'm saying, it had 4 lanes on the highway. He was quite on the far left. Whoever drop him out, whoever, if he get a ride, whatsoever, as I remember, we wasn't there, and we don't know what's going on. So he had time cross 1, 2 lanes, the center of the highway, cross the next lane, then on the 4th lane, almost to the little triangle media right before we approach it. 2 footsteps again away. And you tell me you didn't see that man?
Now, the driver is not in police custody, but investigations are ongoing.
To some other news now, after reports that the new fireworks law failed to reduce noise levels during the festive season, the Prime Minister is warning that an outright ban could be imposed in the coming months if that behavior continues into the new year.
The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service told CNC3 News that no charges were laid, citing the complexity of enforcing the legislation.
However, Kamla Prasad-Bissessa is making it clear she's not placing blame on the police or the law itself, but on individuals who fail to comply.
Here's more in this report.
The festive season provided the first real indication of how the new fireworks law would work in practice. And on All Year's Night, while there was a 1-hour window to discharge fireworks, there were many reports that the noise went on way past 12:30 a.m. Now, since the law came into effect in December, the TTPS has since been empowered to fine people $450 for running afoul of the law. But the Police Service's Corporate Communications Department told us that as of Friday morning, not a single person has been charged for any fireworks-related offences. And earlier today, DCP of Operations Suzette Martin told CNC3 News it's not an easy law to enforce.
Based on reports coming in, we warn persons about use of fireworks, and this law, it's kind of complex in managing it because you have persons going into bushy areas and setting off fireworks, so you have officers that are on the ground.
Now, the Prime Minister told CNC3 News that she too noted noise and fireworks in her community beyond the stipulated time. Kamla Prasad-Bissessa said there are some people in this country who have no regard for people's well-being and cannot follow a simple law. She said the country will remain a lawless dump unless strong action is taken against who she described as ignorant people. The Prime Minister said the problem is not policing, but a breakdown in civility and respect among some citizens. She added law enforcement should not have to pursue or arrest people to ensure compliance with minor laws. The Prime Minister said it was not the law nor police that failed, but a minority of lawless citizens. Asked if she will now consider an outright ban on noisy fireworks, the Prime Minister said she will give the new law a few more months, but if people continue to disregard it, she will ban fireworks outright. Meanwhile, local government minister and St. Augustine MP Khadija Amin told CNC3 News she too received several complaints.
Some of my constituents expressed disappointment that there were people who were breaking the law on All Year's Night, in particular, lighting fireworks outside of the prescribed time for the law. And it means that the police has some work cut out.
And the Trinidad and Tobago Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, along with the Animal Welfare Network, said they received several reports of people discharging fireworks outside the allowed window. The NGOs believe this is not a failure of the police, but rather the law. They believe it is impractical to enforce the Fireworks Act, and they're now calling for a total ban on fireworks, as they said animals suffered extreme distress, injuries and panic, while residents reported sleeplessness and anxiety.
Well, in light of complaints from the public over the holiday period, we asked, should government implement a total ban on noisy fireworks?
Here's what you told us.
They can make it silent, but that wouldn't do anything, really, I think. If they make it silent, it wouldn't make a difference. They have to ban it to get something effective coming from that.
No, I don't think it should be banned totally, because people still have to have the freedom to enjoy what they want to enjoy. But just make the guy who is buying it bring in the silent fireworks. It's done all over the world.
No, because from ever since, that's the thing we know when there's New Year's and Old Year's and Christmas, Republic Day.
In certain areas, maybe residential areas, it should be banned because obviously the, I would say for sure, animals and stuff, for pets and stuff, a lot of pets escape and stuff like that. So definitely I would say in residential areas for sure.
No, I don't think so, because we still need to have some sort of enjoyment, but we need to be a little bit more disciplined when we are having that fun.
It does affect the animals, yes, we know that. But if they could control it, as they did in our area, it will be fine.
Still to come in the news, 4 children relocated as Cyril Ross Home closes after decades of service.
Government says investors eyeing Nutrien's Point Lisa's assets after gas cutoff, offering hope for workers.
Coming up in sport, a year after capturing a maiden Jean Pair Youth Netball title, the tournament makes a long overdue return to TNT. In the ever-changing media landscape, we at Guardian Media strive always to put you, our viewers and readers, first.
We strive to uphold the time-honored tenets of responsible journalism.
For us, accuracy is key.
And in our reporting, we strive not only to be first, but fair,
impartial,
and to uphold journalistic integrity.
Above all, we are accountable to you, and we must respect the views of our audience. That is our solemn contract with you.
Keen attention to detail.
Rigorous verification of facts.
Use of credible sources and sound editorial judgment.
Keep track of our editorial policies and guidelines, including our corrections policy, by logging on to www.guardian.co.tt for more. After 31 years, the Cyril Ross Home, established to care for children living with HIV and AIDS, has officially closed its doors.
Nigel Phillips, National Council President of the St. Vincent de Paul Society, tells CNC3 News that the decision was not an easy one.
He explains that after 3 years of attempting to secure a license from the Children's Authority, the process became too expensive, compounded by delays.
Carissa Lee reports.
The 4 children between the ages of 9 and 15 who were housed at the Cyril Ross Home in Tunapuna have been transitioned to another facility. This after the home officially closed on December 31st. National Council President of the St. Vincent de Paul Society, Nigel Phillips, said the closure of the home was never his intention when he assumed office in 2021, and that the organization did everything possible to keep it open, even as they closed others.
One of the homes that we would have kept open would have been the Cyril Ross Home, even though we know it was not profitable to keep it open because of the various liabilities and challenges that the home came with.
But even with his back against the wall, Phillips worries about the children who grew accustomed to the space and the workers.
One was placed with her godparents, and there was another girl who was doing very, very well, extremely well in school. And she was placed in foster care by someone else. And I heard that she didn't take it very lightly. You know, she was very emotional in terms of her placement.
Serving as a child development and community outreach facility since the 1960s, in 1994, the daycare center was remodeled into the Cyril Ross Home, a residential space for children living with HIV and AIDS. Regardless of the decades of operations, the home along El Dorado Road was not licensed, and in 2020 started the process to change its name from the Cyril Ross Nursery to the Cyril Ross Children's Home. Phillips explained that the goal was to accept children without HIV and AIDS, as the number with the virus entering the system had become very small. With a grant from the Office of the Prime Minister, the organization began working to achieve this transition.
Now, with that now, every time it goes back before their board, there was always something else different that we have to undertake with regards to the home.
Phillips said this forced the organization to dip into the St. Vincent de Paul's funds, spending approximately $500,000 on repairs over the past 3 years, even as they continue to meet their commitments and pay the 9 staff members and cover other expenses. In 2023, the home was 79% ready. The national president added that the home received its provisional license that expired on December 31st. But after several attempts to be officially licensed, he had the difficult discussion with his team.
I said to my executive, okay, this will be the final straw. I tried to reach out to Children's Authority, tried to have dialogue, and it's like pulling teeth, as the old people say, trying to get a meeting with Children's Authority or to have discussions.
Phillips said they are open to dialogue with the authority to save the facility, which is fully upgraded and fire and safety compliant, noting that it has done so much for the HIV and AIDS community in this country and the region. But he said discussions must be meaningful, have clear timelines and financial viability. CNC3 News await responses from Line Minister Vandana Mohit and the Children's Authority. Carissa Lee, CNC3 News.
A relative of 60-year-old Ricky Taylor, this country's first murder victim for 2026, is urging victims of extortion to come forward and report their issues to the police. Taylor was gunned down at the corner of Prince and George Street in downtown Port of Spain yesterday afternoon. The gunman escaped by running through a nearby building. At the Forensic Science Center today, one of Taylor's relatives confirmed that he was threatened by criminals who sought to tax him for operating his mini-mart. The relative said gunmen previously shot his business place, and despite warnings from his family, Taylor continued to operate his establishment as normal. Well, the police service has warned that it will be doubling down on crime-fighting efforts in 2026. Assistant Commissioner of Police and head of the extortion unit, Richard Smith, said while there continues to be kidnappings for ransom, police are working overtime to solve outstanding matters. Chief among them is the investigation into the kidnapping of Derek and Clarabelle Tade from their home on Manus Island on December 13th. 70-year-old Tade was released by the kidnappers on December 17th after a ransom was paid by relatives. However, his 47-year-old wife remains missing.
We have been having some kidnappings for ransom. We have been successful in some of these kidnappings in that we had the hostages released. We had some persons who were arrested and charged, and other persons, due to certain things that they did, they are somewhere else. But we are actually working on the Tade's kidnapping. At this stage, it is quite sensitive because we still do not have the Carnival, his wife. So, that's quite sensitive at this stage.
And Deputy Police Commissioner Suzette Martin says police are probing the one murder recorded for the year so far.
Now, the state of emergency comes to an end on January 31st. CNC3 News asked Martin what happens once it ends. She would only say that officers will continue to enforce the law once the SOE remains in place.
With Nutrien pulling out of Trinidad and Tobago, there could soon be a major shift at Point Lisas.
Energy Minister Dr. Rudal Munilal says government has received expressions of interest from investors ready to take over operations.
Andrea Perez-Sobers has more.
One day after Nutrien's gas supply contract expired and valves were fully shut off, ending any remaining ability to operate, the Energy Minister reveals investors are eyeing its assets, possibly offering a lifeline to employees. Energy Minister Dr. Rudal Munilal has confirmed that at least 2 unsolicited proposals have been received from investors eager to step in to Point Lisas operations, potentially even taking part ownership. The minister told CNC3 News that discussions with Nutrien and the National Gas Company have been ongoing for months under the Prime Minister's oversight. He attributes the current situation to lingering issues from the previous administration, particularly regarding port user fees and gas sales agreement that went unaddressed for years.
We have been in touch with Nutrien concerning not just their Point Lisas operations now, but their investment portfolio and future engagements with Trinidad and Tobago in other areas, not just where they are now in Point Lisas, on other projects and so on. We have already received, I think, 2 serious unsolicited expressions of interest.
As it pertains to affected employees, the Energy Minister outlines the ministry has been in touch with Nutrien concerning workers.
Our understanding was that there would be no sudden fallout and we would work. But we do have an investor who is willing to take over the operations and plant almost overnight and keep all the workers on the job. Keep all the workers, on deck. So these are matters that we are addressing now.
Dr. Munilal insists that the Point Lisas asset will not become a distressed property. Nutrien produced ammonia and urea from its Point Lisas plants. The Canadian-owned fertilizer giant's 45-year presence in TNT came to an end over ongoing port fees and unfavorable gas pricing. Meanwhile, in response, the National Gas Company says Nutrien's shutdown of its operation was driven by the company's own profit interests and not government action. NGC notes Nutrien alone is responsible for job losses, claiming the company rejected opportunities to continue operating and instead sought to pressure the state to maintain legacy port user rates and secure a long-term gas contract. Andrea Perez-Sobers, CNC3 News.
Meanwhile, the opposition leader is criticizing government over the shutting down of gas supply to Nutrien.
Penelope Beckles says this is, quote, reckless government mismanagement that threatens thousands of jobs, fertilizer supply, food production, and foreign investor confidence.
She adds that downstream industries will suffer and collapse. Well, still to come in the news, woman sues SWRHA after surgery leaves her unable to have children.
Over Trinidad today, we had just some isolated showers, but there was some moderate to heavy rainfall in Tobago. We still have some partly cloudy conditions over the area, so I'll let you know what's in the weekend forecast coming up just after the break.
Ever wonder how the way you start your day can make all the difference? Tired of waking up struggling with congestion? Without NeilMed sinus rinse, you are likely to battle with nasal congestion, impacting energy levels and overall well-being. The choice is clear. A great morning starts with NeilMed sinus rinse. Now I can't imagine starting my day without it. All natural sinus relief.
Step into the new year with style and comfort with JD's exclusive unbeatable fashions for going back to work at unbelievable prices. Plus all the accessories. JD's exclusive, Princestown, San Fernando, Rio Claro, Gasparilla Mall, and M6 Plaza Chaguanas. Your low price headquarters, JD's.
Get a loan at Bremont. The process is simple. Fast and efficient approvals. Receive funds within 24 hours once approved. And no penalty for early repayment. Located at 4 Gallo Street, Woodbrook. Remember, we like to lend.
What do you think of Kamala's outfit?
Now, her outfit. If her outfit is worn inside, is it really an outfit? All right.
We're going.
Are we doing people's work?
Yeah.
No, the people's work. It's done on CNC3 on the rundown. Oh, you thought it was here?
Yeah, but
no, it's done on CNC.
A woman left unable to have more children after surgery has sued the Southwest Regional Health Authority for medical negligence.
She underwent an operation at San Fernando General Hospital in 2012 to remove her right fallopian tube. 7 years later, she returned with severe abdominal pain. I was told her remaining tube had ruptured during pregnancy and had to be removed to save her life. Subsequent analysis showed the tube was not ruptured and she had no recent pregnancy. Her lawyers argued doctors misdiagnosed her and failed to advise her properly. She's seeking damages for pain and suffering plus $100,000 to $300,000 to cover in vitro fertilization costs. Well, a Point Fortin family narrowly escaped serious injury after part of their home collapsed on New Year's Day.
While no one was hurt, the terrifying experience has left them facing an uncertain future.
Che Tika Singh and Sasha Wilson visited the family and bring us more in this report.
The new year was supposed to mark a fresh start, but for one Point Fortin family, it began in disaster.
We just hear the bradang, and it just seen the house just sinking. So I had also grab them and I start bawling for my big daughter because I wasn't seeing she. And I bawling. It's after the house stopped, I realized she was in the next room.
37-year-old Whitney Andrews of Gerald Street, New Village, says she had just finished cooking a special meal for her husband, her 2 children, and 2 grandchildren, as it was also her 4th wedding anniversary.
While I'm cooking, I hear the breeze. Every time the breeze blow, I hear a crack noise. So I wake up my husband. He went to investigate. we saw one of the block. It keep coming down, right? Then about less than a minute, we just hear a rumbling, a rumble. I had also grabbed them during the whole house was flat on the ground.
This is one of the beams that supported her home, and she knows it could have been much worse, especially for her 3- and 4-year-old grandchildren.
The rubble would have fallen on them for sure.
She says this year has been especially difficult. She's among hundreds of unemployment relief program workers who no longer has an income as government stopped the program. Her husband does odd jobs, but work is not regular.
The house not even wired. That is how tough it is financially. Sometimes I just babysit them children, but it's so hard now. Even if you're looking for work, you don't really have.
For now, the family remains at the house, though she fears it could collapse.
Crying, my pressure was high. I didn't just sleep last night. It was hard. Any help that we could get, we'll appreciate.
The councillor, a representative from the MP office, the Point Fortin mayor, and officials from the disaster management unit of the Point Fortin Borough Corporation have promised assistance, but the family's future remains uncertain. Anyone interested in assisting them can contact 715-9735. Sasha Wilson, CNC3 News.
Such a terrible way to start the new year. Anyone wanting to assist, please call 715-9735.
Well, Jean-Marc, we have a big, beautiful moon outside, but will I be able to see it all night, or those pesky clouds going to...
Yes, we do have some partly cloudy conditions. We had some showers earlier this evening, and a couple of them are expected to continue. So let's take a look at the satellite. Now, within the last few hours, there have been a few showers over eastern and northern areas of Trinidad, with a few more lined up just offshore. Notice that a lot of these cloudy patches aren't that big, but they are still capable of producing the odd light to moderate shower and will tend to generally be brisk. Now, that's expected to be the general trend for the next few days as well. So the forecast for tonight, mostly fair conditions, despite a few showers favoring eastern areas of Trinidad. Remember, we saw some of them moving in on the satellite. Now, overnight lows in Trinidad are expected to get down to 22 degrees Celsius and 24 over in Tobago. Now, none of those exceptionally cool nights are expected for now, but I'll let you know if I see the possibility of them popping up. Tomorrow, mostly fair conditions, despite a few showers scattered throughout the day. Also, we'll have a little more cloud cover tomorrow in some areas, which can restrict the high temperature to just about 31 degrees. Then conditions should become a bit clearer by nightfall. Now, for a quick Saharan dust update, there is a lot of dust out in the eastern Atlantic, but it won't make the trek all the way to the Caribbean just yet. So if you do have any sort of respiratory symptoms, you should get it checked out rather than blaming the Saharan dust, especially since we're just around the height of flu season. Now, sea conditions are on the lower end of moderate, which should be decent conditions for a sea bath or even fishing with the full moon and spring tides in effect. Winds are expected out of the east-northeast at 10 to 15 knots. Also note that the full moon is already above the horizon because moonrise was at 6:23 p.m. Looking ahead, isolated showers tomorrow, but Sunday through Tuesday seems relatively dry, so we'll have predominantly sunny conditions, but the chance of rainfall increases on Wednesday, giving us some cloudy periods and scattered showers. I'll be keeping my eye on that because those rainy days have been a bit scarce since the last rainfall event at the beginning of December. Now, we take a look beyond the clouds because tonight is this year's full moon. This year's full moon will grace the sky. Now, this is called the Wolf Moon and is also 2026's first supermoon, which means that it's closer than normal to Earth and seems larger and brighter in the sky. Now, the full moon's light will make it harder to see the second event, which is the quadrantid meteor shower. It will reach its peak on Saturday evening, but astronomers say the shower will be active all the way through January 16th. No, I heard you mention the full moon. Did you happen to snap a picture of it outside?
For Samsung to AI down the picture. No, I thought it was a very romantic moon, and now you're calling it a wolf moon, and now I'm thinking werewolves and things
Wolves
like that.
can be a romantic, Akash, why not? But you know what? I think I'm going to take a nice slow drive home and admire the moon once it's visible.
Any howling at the moon, team, that it's the wolf moon?
Not from me.
No. Just stay in the middle lane under 100 kilometers.
I know, I'm very aware.
Check all the lights before you do.
Definitely.
All right, thank you so much, Jean-Marc. Let's tell you what's still to come in the news. If you think your last vacation was a blast, wait until you see where we're taking you next. We're visiting a Caribbean hotspot that's anything but plain.
Struggling with blood sugar swings, high blood pressure, or stiff joints? Take control with Aja Nutrition's powerful wellness trio. Berberine Plus supports healthy blood sugar. Blood pressure support helps keep your pressure in check. And Joint Aid keeps your joints moving so you can stay active every day. Don't wait. Choose Aja Nutrition for trusted, effective solutions. Available at Pennywise and leading pharmacies nationwide. Feel better, move better, live better with Aja Nutrition.
Attention all bakers, doubles vendors, and roti makers. Try our high-quality bromate-free, all-purpose, and whole wheat flour. Low price and conveniently packaged in 2 pounds, 2 kg, 10 kg, and 25 kg bags. For wholesale and retail prices, contact Shiklisho Limited at 665-3336 or 480-8715 or visit us at Warrenville, Canupia. Shiklisho Limited, quality you can trust. Dress like you mean business. At The Working Woman, we bring you stylish, professional looks made for the modern woman. From casual to formal workwear, we've got your professional wardrobe covered.
Parents will do it, they'll go to work, have a day, bro, and come and take that stress out on you.
Welcome to another episode of Manhood.
Everybody will do what they need to do to get what they want.
And if they can't fit in to the norms, then what they have to do? They're surviving.
Not everybody wants to kill me because I might be all kind of thing, but I think I'm a good person.
The aspect of a mentor seeing something in you that you can't see in yourself.
Check yourself, because you shape that generation.
Are we losing in many ways the values?
Since I have this Parkinson's diagnosis, there's a group, a very small group, type group, who will always look after me.
Despite signs of economic improvement, economists are urging caution in 2026. They warn that without stronger diversification and fiscal discipline, economic stability could remain fragile.
Meanwhile, a long-standing feature of one of TNT's most established unit trust funds is being phased out, with the price guarantee removed for new investors in the Growth and Income Fund.
Andrea Perez-Sobers has more in tonight's Business Watch.
Two leading economists says while there are reasons for cautious optimism, this country is still at a critical turning point. Economist Dr. Marlene Att points to the recent central bank assessments showing some momentum in the energy sector, but warns the wider economy remains weak and overly dependent on that sector.
Another interesting point from the Monetary Policy Committee's report is the caution that recent wage adjustments could affect aggregate demand and may result in an increase in import growth. This has to be monitored over the coming months because it has implications for our reserves.
Meanwhile, economist Dr. Justin Ram says long-term growth hinges on firm fiscal rules, diversification, and major investment in people.
And improving your business environment is not only about macro fiscal policy, it is about overall policy that supports growth in the non-energy sector, including appropriate monetary policy, and of course, very importantly, policies that focus on building the right type of human capital.
Both economists agree that navigating the road ahead will require coordinated action from government, business, and citizens alike. Turning to other business news. After more than 4 decades, the TNT Unit Trust Corporation is ending a feature that once set its flagship growth and income fund apart. The price guarantee provision, introduced in 1985 to give investors added confidence, will no longer apply to new subscriptions from February 2nd. Existing investors are not affected. All units held before that date will continue to carry the guarantee. Executive Director Nigel Edwards said the move is part of a broader modernization drive at UTC as the institution aligns with global best practices and a more mature local investment market. The corporation said the price guarantee was always meant to be temporary. As of November 30th, 2025, the fund recorded an annualized return of 7.63% with total distributions of more than $2.98 billion since inception. And now for a look at today's energy and foreign exchange prices. Andre Perez Sobers, CNC3 Business Watch.
Well, Carnival 2026 is shaping up to be a test of both tradition and innovation.
New chairman of the National Carnival Commission, Peter Canhai, says he's focused on getting value for money and ensuring the Queen's Park Savannah can handle the big events now that other venues are off limits.
But not everyone agrees the Savannah can carry the full weight of Carnival. Cyril Ross reports.
The new chair of the National Carnival Commission has big plans for his first carnival. And getting value for money is a big deal for Peter Canhai.
The putting up of the note stand, for example, that people say it's used for 2 shows effectively, Panama semi-final and Panama final. We are looking to change that, to bring people back to the note stand, even for the Dimanche, so that we are putting forward plans and suggestions and proposals as to how we do that.
Canhai says the stage is currently under construction and there are plans to add a flavor village to the traditional John Cupid Carnival Village at the Queen's Park Savannah to showcase local cuisine. He says they are also trying to make sure that major events can be accommodated since stadia are no longer available to event promoters.
At NCC, we are catering for that. We are creating the spaces that promoters could use. A lot of events outside of the traditional events, the Panorama and the Calypso and so on, takes place there. The Army Fete and other events, there have been guests and voice and so on.
But former Culture Minister Randall Mitchell points out the stadia ban centralizes Carnival in Port of Spain. It also does not consider the number of events that are held per day during Carnival. The Savannah simply cannot accommodate them all. But for event promoter Kwesi Hopkinson, the Savannah is an almost perfect event space where his company Scorch hosted their first jam event on New Year's Day.
The thing about our culture and Carnival and fets, it comes from resistance, you know, and it's organic. So the venue itself, as much as it was not as ideal for us, with the nature of this event, organically it became what it became, and the people made their own road match.
Hopkinson says there are only so many events that it can accommodate simultaneously. And while he did not have final figures for his event, initial reports are that less people came to First Jam yesterday than years past. Which is why he's calling on government to engage in genuine dialogue before making major decisions for Carnival, because while they take on responsibility for much of the Carnival infrastructure,
for the most part, it's the private sector that really powers our Carnival.
Soini Gray, CNC3 News.
Well, Jassy is standing by with sport, and Jassy, I understand some good news for TNT youth football.
Yes, Akash, I'm sure you guys know all about the new grandparent law. Well, get ready to meet Trinidad and Tobago's latest foreign-born football imports. And on the first weekend of 2026, we present all of the best options for your sporting entertainment. Stick around. Sport is next.
Our connection Nutrien is reliable, credible, and authentic. Thank you for trusting me to bring you the news. It's a privilege to be in your homes and hearts. With every story and every newscast, CNC3 is keeping you informed and inspired. When it comes to news, we are where you are.
Some of us like to test limits, but there won't always be second chances. Obey the speed limits. Maybe you don't value your life, but others value theirs. A message from the TTPS.
Whoa. Please, what do you think about the PNM in opposition?
Now, our opposition is a force. So, if the opposition opposes our next opposition, is it really our opposition? Do you think Barry will be able to give water to all? Okay, for that question, tune in to the rundown on CNC3. Wednesdays at 8 p.m. every Wednesday. Yeah. All right?
We're good.
Are we doing people's work?
Yeah, where?
No, the people's work, it's done on CNC3 on the rundown. Oh, you thought it was here?
Yeah, but
no, it's done on CNC3. Welcome back. Netball Trinidad and Tobago has selected Lyselle Johnson as head coach of the senior women's national team. Her first act was to head up the team's screening sessions, which began this morning at the Maloney Indoor Facility and will continue through the weekend. 45-year-old fire sub-officer Lyselle Johnson has been chosen as the new head coach of Trinidad and Tobago's senior women's netball team. Johnson made the three-person shortlist from a total of 6 applicants, according to Netball TNT president Debbie-Ann Francois.
The shortlist would have been herself, Dalton Hines, and Leslie-Ann Barquin. So we would have done a fair process in terms of interview, had a panel go through all the rigors that is required, and that person would have come out on the top.
Johnson's baptism of fire throws her into the Commonwealth Games in Scotland in July, the CAC Games in Santo Domingo in August, and the Netball World Cup qualifiers in St. Vincent in October. Francois admitted that while Johnson has had limited experience at the senior level, Netball Trinidad and Tobago was confident in its appointment.
Okay, she would have been the last under 16, the one previous to that should have been the assistant coach at the point in time to that under 16 team also. She's also familiar with the fire team. She was a player with them, and she would have assisted with school netball also a lot in terms of St. Francois and other schools. But at the end of the day, as we said, she's willing to go forward. At some point, she would have gone out to the U.S. and they would have asked her for some assistance based on her coaching experience to assist a team in the U.S., which she would have done. Yes, she is fairly new to persons, but she has some experience behind her name in terms of what she's capable and able to do.
Johnson and her staff conducted their first screening session at the Maloney Indoor Facility on Friday and continue to look at eligible players at the Southern Regional Indoor Arena on Sunday and the Mayaro Sporting Complex on Monday. In related news, President of Netball Trinidad and Tobago, Debbie-Ann Francois, is confirming that 1 year after winning it for the first time ever, the Jean Pierre Caribbean Youth Netball Tournament will return to Trinidad and Tobago. The Jean Pierre Caribbean Youth Netball Tournament's 22nd edition will take place in Trinidad and Tobago from April 10th to the 18th, making it the first time here since 2009 and only the second time overall.
For us not hosting so long, did put our hat in the ring, and we were successful in terms of persons who agreed off the back. It has not been held in Trinidad for a very long time. So persons at the meeting agreed, okay, we would like to come Trinidad, we like to come Trinidad. So we would have gotten the okay.
Netball Trinidad and Tobago President Debian Francois told Guardian Media Sport the decision had been taken at the level of the Caribbean Netball Association's annual general meeting after last year's tournament in Barbados, but needed a rubber stamp of approval locally.
But we could not go public as yet because we had to ensure that our major stakeholder is on board with us. And then you would have recalled after April we had an election, so things would have changed and the board would have had to be replaced, and we had to wait for all of that process to take place. So we had to ensure that the new board is on board with us and agree to assist us in this venture.
When asked about how ongoing renovations at Trinidad and Tobago Netball's home venue, the iconic Jean Pierre Sports Complex in Mokorapo, would affect the anticipated return of the tournament, Francois said,
ideally, we would have liked to have it there, seeing the complex is named the Jean Pierre Complex and the tournament is the Jean Pierre, but we also have to look at the reality of things, and we are looking at an alternative venue.
Named after Trinidadian netballer Eugenia Jean Pierre, the tournament was first held in 1998. It was only last year in Barbados, however, that Trinidad and Tobago won the competition for the first time in its 21-year history. Bringing the title and the competition home, Francois hopes, would reignite the sport at all levels. Trinidad and Tobago's proclamation of the grandparent law in September 2025 has already yielded benefits to various national sporting teams. Football has been perhaps the greatest beneficiary, and in particular, the junior teams currently preparing for various competitions. Among the foreign-born hopefuls currently encamped with the Trinidad and Tobago boys under-17 team is midfielder Caden Bansi, who plays with English club Reading FC's academy.
I play as a central attacking midfielder, so I think me playing in that position brings more goals to the team, you know, different ways of getting goals. So yeah. Now, obviously, to play for your country is an honour. So I think just that itself is a really good achievement. And for me playing here, I'm looking to get out of this, or I'm looking to, you know, play for the qualifiers, national World Cup qualifiers, and hopefully to make it out the group.
Another name that may soon be printed across the red, white and black uniform is Tate Ormond, a young defender from Brighton and Hove Albion, also in the UK.
I'm just very honoured just to be here in this camp, and I'm just so honoured, and to be with players older than me, it helps me like develop physically, and my intelligence helps. It's been tough, it's been very intense. Playing with older players, it's just been hard, but I think it's helping me become a better player.
TNT's men's under-17 football team enters 2026 CONCACAF qualifiers against Barbados, St. Martin and Mexico at the Hazley Crawford Stadium in Mokorapo from February 3rd to 12th. In the new year, the Trinidad and Tobago Rugby Union has pledged to continue engaging the national community to spread the good word about the community-focused sport and reignite interest locally. Looking back on 2025, TTRU President Kenesha Vincent was hard-pressed to single out one event, but pointed to something that has become a point of pride.
It feels so weird to just pick one. But if I had to say what the top moment for me was, I think it would be having our teams run out in these colors and represent us well locally, because we hosted RAN now for 2 years in a row, which is our like flagship sevens tournament in the region, and people around have really enjoyed it. So I think being able to have our teams represent there was really good.
Vincent added that the sport is open to new collaborations this year and is looking forward to continued support. Football, cricket, athletics and netball all feature in a full first weekend of sport in 2026.
Who had the last stop.
The 2025-2026 TTPFL season continues with its first full match day of 2026 this Saturday. In the first of 3 double-headers, La Hocketa Rangers meet Police FC at 5 p.m. and Prisons Service FC faces Point Fortin Civic 7 p.m. at the Arima Velodrome. At the Atawolden Stadium, Central FC faces AC Port of Spain at 6. Then at 8 p.m, Sawa Jablote meets a Defence Force. At the Lahokota Recreation Ground, FC Phoenix and Club Sando lock horns at 5 p.m. Caledonia AIA and Eagles clash at 7 p.m. So take your pick and go support this country's pro footballers. The second edition of Keyshawn Walcott's Golden League is out of the blocks from 9 a.m. on Sunday morning at the Eddie Hart Recreation Ground in Tacarigua. There's competition in the under 9, under 11, under 13, under 15, under 17, under 20 and open categories, so go lend your voice and presence to the next generation of elite athletes. Netball TNT's National Senior Women's screenings continue on Saturday at the Southern Regional Indoor Facility and Sunday at the Montgomery Hard Court in Tobago from 8 a.m. to noon. Monday's session at the Mayaro Sports Facility is from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m, so go grab this chance to represent your nation with both hands. And after a year of spectacular triumphs locally, regionally and internationally, the National Association of Athletics Administrations of TNT will celebrate its best and brightest stars at their annual awards at the National Racquet Center in Tacarigua on Saturday. On Sunday, Pole 9 Cricket Club hosts its 25-year reunion at the Himalaya Club in Barataria from noon. Former national players Riyad Emirates, Kino Mason, Rajendra Danraj, Imran Khan and Ashik Ali, among others, are expected to turn back the clock in a day of fun and 3 10-over fixtures. Jovan Ravello, CNC3 Sport.
Internationally, Johnson crosses London, Venus set to make history, and there are consequences in Nigeria.
Anthony Joshua's driver has been charged with causing death by dangerous driving, reckless and negligent driving, driving without due care, driving without a valid license at Sagamu Magistrates Court in Nigeria today. 46-year-old Adeniyi Mobalaji Kayode was behind the wheel when Joshua's personal trainer Latif Ayodele and strength coach Sina Gami died when their vehicle hit a stationary truck on an Ogun State highway in Lagos on Monday. Joshua was hospitalized for his injuries and discharged on Wednesday. Kayode was granted 5 million naira in bail, which is about £2,500. The matter has been adjourned to January 20th. In football, Brennan Johnson is expected to line up for Crystal Palace against Newcastle on Sunday after the London club splashed a record £35 million to prime away from Tottenham Hotspur today. Johnson was also being monitored by Bournemouth as a replacement for Antoine Semenyo. However, Palace manager Oliver Glasner took a personal interest in Johnson and brought him to Selhurst Park after 81 appearances and 18 goals for Spurs. He's the club's most expensive signing since Christian Benteke arrived from Liverpool for £27 million in 2016. And Venus Williams has received a wildcard entry to the 2026 Australian Open, and at 45 will become the oldest woman to compete in the main draw. The Aussie Open is set to begin on January 18th, with Williams warming up for it with her appearance at the Auckland Open in New Zealand 2 weeks earlier. Venus made the last of her 22 appearances at the Aussie Open in 2021 and finished runner-up to her sister Serena in 2003 and 2017. Her record at the Open Down Under is 54 wins and 21 defeats. Jovan Ravello, CNC3 Sport.
Tonight's Sport High comes from the NBA. Enjoy.
Tyrese Maxey blew past Caleb Martin like a full bus on the way to 2 of his game-high 34 points. The victim of a filthy crossover, Martin's only real contribution on the night, but Maxey led the way for the 76ers and finds his route to tonight's CNC3 Sport High.
That's it for Sport, guys, on the first Friday of 2026.
Oh, thank you so much, Jassy. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Some of us like to test limits, but there won't always be second chances. Obey the speed limits. Maybe you don't value your life, but others value theirs. A message from the TTPS.
Sportsmanship is when an athlete walks off the court and you can't tell if he won or lost because he carries himself with pride either way. This quote is an embodiment of sport, and for me, sport is an embodiment of life. We are where you are.
Grief and tragedy are opening the new year at a high-end ski resort in the town of Crans-Montana, Switzerland.
Officials say about 40 people are dead and roughly 115 injured after a fire broke out during a holiday celebration.
Here's more.
It is a tragedy.
A Swiss ski community is in mourning after officials say dozens of people died and more than 100 were injured in a fire. Authorities say it broke out in a bar at a luxury ski resort during a New Year's celebration.
The majority, I imagine, of the people touched by this drama, they are the young people who came for the holidays.
Some victims appear to be foreign nationals. Officials say identifying everyone could take days. They say they're not sure how the tragedy unfolded. It's unclear if the bar was at capacity or if the width of a staircase was a factor. Some witnesses blame a holiday tradition at the bar.
A barmaid would get on a barmaid's shoulders and hold a champagne bottle with these sparklers, and witnesses have described how the ceiling catches fire and then suddenly that fire really rips through this underground space.
A burn expert from Johns Hopkins says such fires can cause rapid asphyxiation.
Those who do survive can have massive injuries that can threaten life in the hours to follow, but also can result in threat to life for the days and then disfigurement and disability for those who do survive in the future.
Numerous medical facilities are caring for the injured. A witness says others also rushed to help.
All the nearby residences, restaurants, everyone who was still awake helped either with water, tea, blankets. You know, it was a big shock.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Well, on New Year's Day, hundreds of people took the plunge at Santa Barbara's Polar Dip in California. The crowd gleefully rushed into the Pacific Ocean at Ledbetter Beach to welcome 2026 with a chili challenge event. Organizers said more people showed up than they were expecting. This year's Polar Dip was a splashy comeback for the annual New Year's Day event. Last year, organizers didn't have enough time to raise the money needed to cover city permit requirements, including lifeguards, portable restrooms, and insurance. This year, an anonymous donor provided the roughly $4,000 needed.
Would you do it, Akash?
I would, yeah. I like cold water. Yeah, I would.
Me, I prefer warm water.
Like this one, turquoise water, white sand, and an Airbus A330 just 30 feet above your head. It's just a typical day in St. Martin.
Producer Brent Pinero takes us to one of the most famous and arguably the loudest beach in the world for This Week in Travel.
100, 50, 40, 30.
From the air, this looks like your run-of-the-mill landing at a Caribbean airport. But from the ground...
100, 50, 40, 30.
Well, it's a whole different story. Welcome to the iconic Maho Beach in St. Martin, where for years, thousands of tourists and aviation enthusiasts alike have come not to sunbathe, but to sandbathe. Okay, so I may have made that term up, but even that may be too mild of a description for what sometimes happens on this beach when a pilot decides to have a little fun, cause chaos, and hold the brakes. Let's just say what you bring in Maho doesn't always stay in Maho. Now, when landing at the Princess Juliana International Airport, pilots need to get their aircraft on the ground as soon as possible due to the short runway, which leads to these low and, might I add, rather impressive views from the ground. Authorities say jet blasts from arriving and departing aircraft can seriously injure people, so if you do decide to give this experience a shot, consider yourself warned. Of course, as an av geek, I had to give this one a go, check it off the bucket list, and my timing is perfect because here comes a WestJet Boeing 737. That was just plain fun. Brent Pinero, CNC3 News, St. Martin.
said plain fun. I like it.
Very funny. But guys, are you all interested in
it's a no for me.
In a blast off?
Nah, that fine sand looked like it would sting.
I will do it. It looks like a free facial.
It does. Well, that's how we end the 7 p.m. news here on CNC3. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ria Rambali.
I'm Akash Samran.
I am Jassi Marie.
And I'm Jean-Marc Rampasad. Have a good night.